Welcome to the Evergreen Creative Company Podcast. We like to call it the Evergreen Creative Podcast. It's a little bit shorter to say, but our main goal for this podcast is to share our experiences as a company through the projects that we work on a weekly basis. Whether you're a client or another creator, you're going to get to hear our experiences from each project that we work on. So if you find value from this podcast, please leave a review and also share this with your friends and colleagues. All right. Yeah. So welcome to the Evergreen Creative Company Podcast. I'm Josh.
I'm Houston.
I'm Hannah.
And we have a special guest with us today. So
I'm Laney DeBose.
And you are with
Bridge to Business.
And we'll get into some of the more specifics and stuff in a second. But, just before arriving here, so you do a live Instagram live, right? Over at Haven every Wednesday.
At Haven Interiors, yes.
Tell us about that. What's that experience been like?
So, Courtney, my sister, actually owns Haven Interiors here in Dothan, and she when she started the store, she started a Wednesday live every week at 9 a.m. and she has a lot of followers, so they come on and shop with her on the live. So she has just kind of recruited me to come on with her. So we do that kind of as a sister thing. We've really enjoyed it. I think our followers do too. And so we put a lot of new arrivals and stuff on there, do sell items and things like that.
Yes. And then you had, is it the Cordals? Is that how you say there?
Yes. So Devin Cordal from the Cordal family, her and Hunter, we had her on as a guest last week and as a collaboration, and that was an awesome experience. Definitely more viewers than we are used to, but we enjoyed it. It was fun.
Well, I heard it went well. You guys got like a ton of followers just from having that.
We did. And Devin, she's such a sweetheart, and local to the Wiregrass area, so a lot of people know her.
Yeah, we've been talking about one of the ideas, and I agree with like Hannah's thoughts with even with the podcast, is like we've tried to, do our own thing, but then just like collaborations and things like that really help growing and like what you're doing. So, and it's like I need better too, because even with my like tech YouTube channel, that's one of the ways that I grew the channel was collaborating with bigger channels and mixing in those audiences and stuff like that. So.
Yes, definitely. I can definitely. He said I'm breathing right into the mic. I thought it was me.
I'm just like sitting here. You guys are talking. It's just like.
Well, it's when I kind of zone out a little. I'm very loud. When I kind of.
That's why we could hear you breathing.
Not zone out, but I was just.
You have ADHD.
I thought it was me as the newbie up here breathing.
I was just thinking about like, oh yeah, I think
Your
I saw.
nickname is Darth Vader.
Where Devin and so I was sitting here literally with my mouth open, like, and then he was just looking at me and he was going,
like fangirling.
He was going like this, and I was like, what?
That's funny. Fortunately, we have separate tracks for each person.
So for the first 5 minutes of the podcast, just gonna totally cut you out.
Collaborations is one of the top ways.
What were you saying about me?
That you brought up, like we need to start adding people to the podcast.
Oh yeah.
So I was getting to that point.
Yeah.
I'm dragging it out for podcast purposes instead of just being a short answer. We have to drag stuff out.
But have to cut all this together in post.
Collaborations, partnering with other creators, business people, whatever it is one of the best ways. So, we're trying to, that's, a good idea to bring like Laney on, and then we'll have other people on when we can, and just see about mixing audiences. But also it's like we could talk about all kinds of stuff, but like the things that you do with Bridge to Business and your goals for that, it applies to so many different people. And so it's like, our audience is like our clients, but also some of, other creators too. And even if you're just a single creator, like you're a sole proprietor, you're, what do you call it?
Like different entities.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you're thinking of.
Freelancer. That's the word I was going for. So even though you're a freelancer, like you still have a business aspect about everything. And even like on the YouTube side of stuff, it's like I'm earning money. Like there's ways I need to handle that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of like what's hard is like if you're trying to figure things out by yourself and just try to figure out things as you go, like it becomes a headache and stuff like that. So it's like bringing like the value that you have, like what you can talk about here on the podcast today. I think a lot of people can learn from that kind of stuff. But also it's like we work with other clients, like we learn from our clients more than anything else.
Yes.
Like with who we're talking with and what they're dealing with. And like I always think about Metcalf, it's like they're a tax firm and things like that. So it's like every time that they come in here, we're getting like free sessions of advice and stuff. So
Yes.
it's like, it's really cool. So like we're always learning
So
from
we're really
people we're working
using
with.
you for
Exactly. So we can't pay for your services. And so like we'll do the whole, like we'll give you exposure.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that.
Thing that everyone loves.
I'll take it. Yeah.
Man, like lately we've been getting hit up from every angle for like in-kind donations and sponsorships. And it's just like,
It's like, you've been doing this for how long? Shouldn't people be past that?
yeah, I mean, some situations it's worth it, but when you get hit up so much like we have the last couple months, it's just like, y'all, yeah.
like Mural City. I would like understand like an agreement there, like free coffee.
Hey, if they want to give me free coffee,
and,
I'll make
like,
whatever they
you know,
want.
Something for them. That's like one thing.
But yeah, so but I guess we just bring this back over to while we have Laney on the show.
No pressure, but you're our first guest ever.
Hey, I'm excited. This is my first podcast, so
Nice.
I'm excited too.
So was it last week?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Or the week
met
before. Yeah.
before. Weeks all get mixed up at this point. But like we met together. She's looking to start a podcast. I guess that
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
for all
Go ahead,
five
put it
people
out
that
there.
are listening, the cat's out of the bag.
Don't tell anyone.
No surprises.
Don't tell anyone, Megan.
Yeah, Megan, don't tell anybody. Because I know you're trying to keep, you want to make a bigger announcement kind of stuff or plans and stuff. But like what gear do you need or what processes like on that end of stuff is, there's a lot that goes into it. Like there's a lot of simple ways that you can do stuff, but it all depends on how complex you want things to be. And like we struggle with that a little bit ourselves because like we're a video production company. Like we could really make this thing like done up really well, but
Half the time we're using a GoPro to film it.
we've recently upgraded to our S3 or FX3 at times. But even then, like we dial down the settings that way it's not like this huge long
It's not
file.
a pain to edit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, again, it's like, how far do you want to go with it? So like it just takes like those discovery questions to go through it. And I'm sure like a lot of processes, just like in that example, is like stuff that you go over with your customers or clients. So just tell us a little bit about what Bridge to Business is, and we'll just start with that and just kind of go into some more.
I appreciate y'all having me on today. So I currently manage like as a business manager 4 different companies, different industries. And then I'm also do financial administration for the dental office that I was a dental office manager for. I had been there 8.5 years now, but I took a step of faith in the last couple of years, and I met some small business owners that needed some back end of their business help. And I jumped right into that and loved it. And just helping them grow their business and thrive, and helping them with that feeling of being overwhelmed and stressed in their day-to-day operations and systems, just break that down and audit them and develop something that actually functions better for them. And so once I did that a couple of times, I realized, wow, people really need this help. And so I transitioned part-time position at the dental office, stepped into the business manager role for several businesses, and have been taking on clients. And so Bridge to Business was created to be an opportunity and a platform for small business owners to get coaching and mentorship in the back end of their business systems. So I'm also a QuickBooks Online Certified Pro Advisor. I jumped into that a couple of years ago. So the bookkeeping side of things, I have a great accountant that I work with and refer people to as well. And so, yeah, just kind of networking, resources, education. that kind of thing.
So with Bridge to Business, it's more of a consulting than it is a management type service?
Yes. So I'm like contracted, kind of committed on the 4 businesses that I manage. But for the consulting side of things with clients, when they need, look, we're having like our inventory system is totally down, or I've got a team that I need some management help on, I can come in and audit those systems, talk about what that business needs to be able to perform efficiently and grow.
Yeah, I think that's actually really cool to where, like, I like the consulting side of it because obviously, like, you could go in and do it all. You could get people in place to do it all. But I know, like, as a business owner and stuff, it's like, if you can figure out how to do stuff in an efficient and effective way, and then you can just train your own people to do it.
That's correct.
And
even outsource some of that stuff.
Yeah, because I can imagine, like, obviously, some people might be worth or think that they could just like, hey, I just need Laney to come in and do it. But it's like that would be kind of overwhelming for one person. Like it's already overwhelming for the small business owner or business owner, whatever you want to call it.
Well, and they're typically wearing so many hats.
All that on onto one person or even one company.
Yes.
And then you have other companies to worry about too. So I like the consulting side of that more than just go do it for me.
Yeah. So, definitely most small business owners, especially in the creative side industry, you're wearing all the hats. You're doing all the marketing, you're doing all the operations, you're doing all the HR if you have team members, you're having to do the legal side of things and set all that up. And so typically when a creative especially is starting a new business, it's because they have a passion for what they do. Example, photography or event planning or even things that y'all do.
It's like such a great idea to get paid for what you love doing, right?
Yeah, and so you love to do what you do, but then here comes the business side of things, and not everybody enjoys doing all that.
It's like, I go back to this example all the time. It's like we're sitting here at the studio, I think it's just me and Houston today, and we're doing our normal thing. We're creating stuff. We're doing things. And then in walks Houston County tax representatives. Hey, you need to, fill out this form so we can tax you on the stuff that you're already using. And then you're just like, buzzkill. It's like,
oh yeah, I got to do that too.
It's like, that's not the end of the business I like to do. It's like, I like the marketing side. I like the networking side, and I like the creative side. But when it comes down to the money
then
side,
you get slapped with reality of owning a small business.
That's why you have a wife.
And Krista does a great job with a lot of the stuff I don't like doing. But it's like I would much rather have systems and processes laid out to where I'm not having to focus on that, because like that's not where I want to get hung up at, because it will like give you a buzzkill on the creative stuff. It's like when they walked in, it took like a solid week for me to get over it.
Ruined your day.
He gets in ruts too.
So I'm
and if you don't have your stuff together, especially from like the license or from the legal side of things, and you're like thriving as a business, it's really gonna hit you hard.
Catch up to you at some point. And like going to your point, like with the creatives and stuff, like it's so easy to like Evergreen. It's like, yes, it was just me at the start, but then it like grew into other stuff, and it's like before you know it, it's like, dang, like this is becoming bigger than what I even expected, kind of stuff. And so with that comes with all the other different responsibilities that comes with running a business, and it's just, it's not fun at times. So.
Well, in my experience at the dental office, I talk about that because I've been there over 8.5 years. But when I started, there was only like 4 or 5 of us and one doctor. And when I left, we're at 15 team members that I was managing and a 2-doctor practice. And so that takes a lot more and a lot more systems and processes in place to be able to operate at that stage.
Yeah, I listen to Studio Sherpas has this podcast called Grow Your Video Business. And like, I'll get overwhelmed, like, because he'll bring in people just like yourself that might not actually be like a creative entrepreneur or whatever, but, or like that does the video production or photography and all that kind of stuff. But he'll bring in people that do the systems processes. Like, this is how you grow a successful business kind of stuff. This is how, using QuickBooks or using documentation and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, and they're on a much larger scale than what we are. And I'm just like, yes, like goals, dreams, but I'll get overwhelmed thinking about all the stuff that needs to happen for that to take place.
That's
And
right.
it's not just I'm proud of the stuff that we put out there, but there's so much more to even get to that point that's beyond just the creative assets that we create.
Yeah.
Well, and Dothan is such a great market for something like this because, I mean, not only are there so many small businesses, but Dothan is also like the number 2 growing city in Alabama, like the number 2 city that people are like most moving to.
Right behind Huntsville.
So it's like growing. Obviously, Dothan has been expanding so much.
I think we're like number 11 in the nation.
Yeah, so much the past few years is like grown, expanded. So there's also like so much room for growth in that.
And it's such a different time and period like than what Dothan's been used to for so long because it's like we have national brands that are here, but then we have all the mom and pop shops, all the local businesses and stuff. And things were done differently even 5-10 years ago. So now everything's such a online based kind of system and you get all kinds of other things to worry about.
Well, and I tell Houston that too, because obviously Houston,
I'm a transplant.
yeah, he moved here 2021, and so I have to remind him like Dothan at heart is a small town, and like all the expanding that's happening has really been done in the last few years. But it's like every day there's more construction, there's more expanding. Like Dothan is always under construction.
Yes.
Literally. So it's like I don't see growth happening in Dothan. Like I don't see an end in sight for growth happening in Dothan.
Yeah, which is so exciting. And, you know, during the pandemic and all the shutdown and everything, it was definitely, you know, something people noticed of how can I support these small businesses to keep their doors open through this struggle that we're all facing. And so I think that was really kind of one of the kickstart for me of I really want to support these people. These are families that this impacts and, you know, everything. So
We're laughing, it's because like little things like don't make a noise on the table.
I was trying to be quiet.
You did a good job. So Laney, tell me about how it is working with a creative entrepreneur such as your sister Courtney.
Yeah. So being kind of medical dental field and then switching, I mean, I have truly been inspired by my sister. She started her photography business and she is, you know, very wide nation, you know, I mean, she's traveled to Colorado and the Bahamas and stuff like that to do her shoots. And so, watching her grow that business just inspired me that you start from somewhere, but you can get somewhere and it just takes time and heart in it too, and a lot of work. But too, like my parents, they had, kind of a side hustle throughout my, when growing up. And so I watched them do that. And then, you know, I've got some close friends that own thriving businesses, small businesses, and their families. And so, I really, what was your question?
No, just how it's working with Courtney. Because like,
Okay.
like
Great.
It's like, what's your name?
or even just because she is a creative
Yes.
entrepreneur, so she relates to the industry that we're in. And side note, she's like one of the best photographers I know. Like, so very talented, and that's one of the things. Like, as you know, being on the outside looking in, kind of stuff. Like with Haven Interiors,
Yes.
it's like you're on the back end doing a lot of stuff. She's like putting out some amazing quality content just for the store or the shop itself.
Yeah. So she transitioned from the photography pretty much into Haven 2 years ago and has built it from literally her house kind of thing. And it's huge now, and still growing. But I love working with Courtney. I mean, we work well together. She does not enjoy the business side of things, but I do. I mean, I love it. So she was, you know, it was kind of like a given. Sis, you know, I need some help. This is getting bigger than I anticipated, and
right. So
there's a lot to see.
Maybe a question that I didn't send you at first, but I think you'll be able to answer pretty well. It's like looking at the value of working with a talented photographer like that can provide the stuff that you need to make the back end stuff work well, like the marketing side of it.
Yeah.
So if you could like just kind of expound or talk about how it's worth investing into like that side of stuff, like
Yeah.
the quality content that can be produced.
Yeah, so I think that goes back to the start of the conversation of collaborations too with other people. So when you know about another small business and you're impressed by what they've invested to make who their brand image is and the quality that they're putting out there, you know, definitely, like Courtney's done some photography for me getting started with Bridge to Business. She's done that for, I know y'all do that as well for small businesses, and that's just awesome. It puts your image and perspective out there. And I always talk too about branding is not just what's seen on social media. It's also, as a small business owner, you're putting your values on the table. You're putting, you know, who you are, your standards, how you're operating your business, and how that affects the customers and clients that you have, because that's how you grow your business. It's people purchase not just service and products from because of what it is, but it's from who they're buying from. It's the experience that they're getting. And so the customer service, the experience, those values are the most important thing in running your business, in my opinion.
Yeah, kind of like going off of how people buy the experience or like the identity of the company and stuff a lot. Like there's that advice, like if you're in the wedding industry, for example, and if you're going to a bridal show of some sort, like we'll get asked, like, you know, what should I do? Like, what should I bring? How should my table be set up? And I say, like, don't actually be as focused on like your table and booth, because like sell yourself. And like if you're personable and if you're, you know, talking to the potential clients and stuff, like they're going to hire who they like.
That's right. And genuine. I mean, if you truly care about people, no matter what industry you're in, they know.
Right.
They know if you're reading a script and you're just going, you know, day to day, and or if that you really care and really appreciate their business.
Yep. And then like referrals go a long way. That goes back with the collaborations and stuff. And so like most of our business is referral based. Like we obviously do some social media stuff. We do, you know, website for things for ourselves. Like that's foundational things in my opinion. But like like if you give a client a good experience, like they're gonna tell someone else.
That's right.
Word of mouth will always be the most valuable form of like getting business.
Yes, definitely. And when that person, you know, has that experience or, you know, has met you and knows who you are, who your team is, and that goes into team training.
Right.
You know, sharing those.
And like we were actually just talking to Houston yesterday, because was it the 17th was his 1 year with Evergreen. And like that's one of the things like that was just so important to me when I was bringing someone on, is like you have to represent Evergreen well. Like you can't be there's been second shooters that I've used in the past that showed up like smelling like smoke or just not smelling well or like or just not presenting themselves good. So
you're
either.
Glad I shower on a
daily
daily basis,
exactly. You have good
basically.
hygiene. But it's like even simple things like that, because I don't necessarily worry what people think, but at the same time, I still want a good presentable image.
There's
so
an
it's
appropriate standard there.
Like if you're getting those little things like that, go a long way. So it's like you have to even have that kind of basis to where if someone's represented well, like demeanor, like there's a lot of times like we'll get feedback from our clients saying, you know, Hannah and Houston were great to work with, like, or vice versa, like different things like that. So it's like if I had people that were not good to work with, like I'd have to have conversations like we need to either make some changes or like.
Yeah. Your team's got to, because you would lose a customer base if it's not a good experience.
Well, it's like also adding people on can bring business, because, you know, people, you know, will see what I will repost from Evergreen and they'll be like, oh, this is great. Like, how do I book y'all? And so then I refer them to the website. So
right. So
I've had that happen a few times.
It's a big deal to give clients such a good experience, because that's just going to go a long way. And like if, you know, just thinking off the cuff with the services that you offer, it's like if you're providing them a good experience and like they're able to focus on the things that they would rather focus on, like that's a win-win. That's going to be like get all that kind of stuff worked out.
Yes.
And that's going to go a long way.
Well, I got a client review a couple of weeks ago and I about cried, because it was just like, I knew she had a great experience, but she put it into words, and I was like, wow, she really got more than I even knew that she got out of the experience. And, you know, she's referred a couple people to me. So I'm excited about that too. Yeah.
It's always fun getting that client feedback. We had a birthday party that we put the photo bus out at.
Yeah.
And it was a 60s theme. So like having it's a 70s bus, but either way, still a hippie
Close
bus. Yeah. But like the feedback that we got from them is like how it just added so much value to the party. Did nothing but bring smiles, and like the client looked back at all the photos and stuff, and just people just having a good time. And so like he like put on social media in a number of different ways that kind of feedback, and just like you hear that and you're just like, yay, we're doing something good.
Or
we're doing
even
something
like
right.
weddings that we'll shoot, and it'll be like months later, and Josh will get texts from like the bride and groom being like, we just want to like reiterate that like we loved y'all. We love like every time we watch our
Yes.
video, like, you know, we really like feel like you guys captured it and everything. So
Yeah.
it's always super nice to hear.
Yeah.
Goals always make people have a good experience. We have some that we won't go into because I want a good attitude for the rest of the day.
Well, that's another back end of business. You know, how to handle those
But honestly,
situations.
there's so many times where I'm like, Josh, you were way too nice. Like, I would not have done that. I would have blocked them immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, we need to move on from that because
Anyway.
I feel it's starting to settle in. So for future goals and stuff, Laney, like what are you setting out to? Like you get some
Yeah.
short-term goals and long-term stuff?
Yeah. So after meeting with you a couple weeks ago, I'm excited because I kind of want to get my own podcast going. I want to be able to bring small business owners on and talk about their struggles and their successes, and let them share their stories to other small business owners.
Yeah, it's cool. I think podcasting is, I'm not going to talk about our own podcast experience, but like I've seen as far as content goes, like it is one of the quote unquote like easiest ways to get content out there, because like with the style that we turn over to our clients and even do for ourselves is like you have like this long form, but then you have so much like quotable stuff that you can pull from that and be able to just kind of chop it up a bit and throw it out there for like stories or reels and different kind of posts like that, so that we kind of keep that churning over the content that's needed. Because like in today's world, and this I preach this all the time, is like you can't just do one video and then feel like it's just going to last a long time. Like you have to constantly be doing stuff,
Yes.
and that consistency is such an
showing up.
important thing.
Yeah. And I feel kind of like an introvert on social media. Like I have to think about it a while before posting it, because I'm kind of reserved, or thinking, does this really need to go out there, or do people really care about this kind of thing? So
Right. And you just have to kind of get past that and just do it. Because like even like we're testing out like Instagram Reels and TikTok kind of stuff all the time, and we're trying to figure out like the algorithm kind of stuff, and like does things work better when you post at this time, or like does this kind of content work better than the other? So it's like we're also analyzing that kind of stuff too, but it's like you just have to put it out there and see what works.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I would say some other short-term goals for me is I have a lot of small business owners that are getting started in their business. So doing some workshops where it's in person with an intimate setting, kind of just a few
That's a good idea.
people, and being able to answer those questions and, get them the resources they need to be able to get started.
That's really cool. And even on the content creation side of that, like you could have that workshop recorded, and then you could actually sell those as courses online.
Yeah.
So that's something
a
to
good
think
idea.
about too. Because I've seen a lot of success with all kinds of different categories in selling that kind of stuff online. Because if like I know you got like you're looking at a local base for example, but that could go way beyond
Right.
just the Dothan area, because not slamming Dothan, but sometimes Dothan doesn't give the value, or they don't see the value in stuff like that. Like I'm not going to pay $50 for an online class kind of stuff, or you kind of feel that mentality
It's
at
still
times.
small
But-
town at heart.
right? But then like someone in California, New York, or even larger cities, Atlanta, like they see that as a steal.
Yeah.
Like $50 for a course that's going to help me out, like well worth the money. Like
Right.
definitely a good investment kind of stuff. Like that's the mindset that some people have. And I'm not saying that everybody's like that in Dothan, but that's just
Yeah,
some
there
of
are
them
rich
kick
people in
back.
Dothan.
Yeah. But
You ever
like,
been to the Highlands?
but that's the audience that you're going to go after, though. It's like the people that are, they see the value in investing into courses like that. So
Right.
you could obviously do that local one to where you're talking to people in person, but there's an audience out
Yeah,
there
sharing that
that could
online.
actually get that done.
Well, and that investment too, from a business owner, like if you invest in your business, you're typically going to, see that return on investment over time, especially if you're making your systems and processes more efficiently, especially on the bookkeeping side. I mean, I've seen that in a client's working with her. And so, you're saving money in the long term.
Right.
If you got your bookkeeping in order, you're seeing more time to be able to be with your family or do other things, especially if you're a creative kind of thing that you enjoy doing. So there is definitely a return on investment with investing in a business coach or consulting.
It's always nice having an office right by the busiest highway in town.
Yeah.
Or then you got stoplights, so like all the trucks are, slamming on their brakes.
Or,
and you got that.
you have all windows, so then people are constantly coming in like, what is this place? What are y'all?
It's like yesterday we have a lot of rabbit trails on the podcast, but
Get off on
We were-
tangents constantly.
we got a notification, with the doorbell over here, and there's like these people, it's like face planted onto the glass, like trying to see inside. And
When nobody was
you
here.
also did that yesterday, though, so
I
you
did do
can't
that to
even
our
act
neighbor,
like.
so that's true too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always
People
fun.
come in here all the time. They'll just walk by and see the sign on the door and just come in and be like, who are you?
Or like during like the real like horrible heat of the summer, we were recording in there so that we could keep the air conditioning on and not hear it in the podcast. And so obviously all the windows around, so people would be like trying to figure out what we were doing in there, like
People love to walk
packages.
and
Yeah.
stare
Right.
by our
But that's like part of the purpose of why I like the full open window right there,
windows.
because they see that activity going on.
Just
and
sidewalk
get people
marketing
asking
right
questions.
there.
we look real busy.
Yeah.
Like I would love to have the space next to Mural City,
Yeah.
like that building there, and I would literally have the podcast kind of stuff and recording kind of things right next to the
Oh yeah.
right next
Oh,
to
I
Mural
think that would
City.
be cool. People would like to see that.
Yeah, and have like a big recording sign on.
If
and
only we
stuff.
were millionaires
Yeah,
and could afford the building.
if it's like $500,000 for that spot.
That's crazy.
Anyways, so
Anyway.
Real estate.
real estate. Yeah, we could go into all kinds of stuff with that. If you have a cheap building that is in good shape, we are interested.
We need more room.
We need more space. But something I also wanted to talk about with you, or have you talk about rather, is like what's like 3 big tips that, like, if you are just getting going with starting a business, or like let's say, hey, maybe I can make some money doing this. What are some of the things that someone should do to start with?
Yeah. So, getting your business set up correctly is going to be your first thing. Definitely.
What do you mean by that?
Okay. So, I mean, like your business license, typically in the city, or I'm talking kind of in Dothan city limits, Houston County kind of thing, you have to have that in order to be able to function as a business and be registered. There's also the tax thing. They want their money if you're making money.
Right.
So you got to think about that. Also, the legal side of things, you want to make sure you're covered depending on what you do, and every situation is different. But you kind of want to look and see, okay, am I making enough, or is there risk to this? Because if you have your personal all wrapped up in your business too, you may need to separate those.
Yeah, I would say like at least become an LLC, even if you're
Yes.
just a freelancer, like having that separated would be a good idea.
And definitely like talking to your accountant or lawyer kind of thing, but that you potentially need to be an S corp, and all that, paying yourself and all that gets thrown in
Right.
there too. So
It's like I see in the forums all the time, like, what should I do? Like they'll go into like a freelancer forum or video producer kind of stuff, and they're asking for like financial advice kind of stuff, and everybody's like, or like even legal advice. Like, talk to your lawyer,
Yes,
talk
yes.
to your accountants, or if you
Yeah.
don't have one, get one, and they're going to give you the proper
That's
stuff.
right.
Like, don't go
everybody's
off of like another video
situation is
producer.
different. That's correct.
Yeah, every state's different, every city is different, so you got all kinds of laws
Yeah.
that happen.
A big thing too, like I'm pretty big on the social media side of like the other coaches and stuff like that across the nation, really not I don't know of too many locally anyway, so I've kind of had to branch out and do a bunch of research. And I've worked with a couple, just kind of getting some knowledge and stuff, investing in my own situation. But the trademark thing is getting pretty big. You can't use somebody else's name or some logos kind of thing, imagery and stuff like that. So you kind of got to be careful and definitely talk to a lawyer about that as well.
I remember when so like I have a personal brand, so Joshua Bain. So for like some of the just side project stuff I do. And I remember, I think it was Instagram, the handle Joshua Bain was taken. And it was just someone that was squatting on the name. They weren't even using the account kind of stuff. But so I ended up getting my name trademarked, and then I was able to contact Instagram, and they were able to let me claim that ID. So like going back to what you're saying, even on the legal side, so if you got documents and papers and stuff like that, you're able to, like I own this. So like that's mine.
And what I can tell, it's a pretty long process, and you probably definitely want to get somebody that knows what they're doing to help you with that.
And like also like you have to be careful of scammers, because you'll get put on some sort of database that like they'll start asking, you need to renew this or you need to renew that, or do this kind of documentation, to where it's actually not legit stuff. It's like no, if it doesn't come from like this organization, the federal organization, it's not legit. So like you have to be careful of that kind of stuff too. But again, like if you have a lawyer, like a lot of times that they can take care of that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. So another thing I would just say is kind of getting started marketing. That would be your next thing, branding, getting your name out there. Collaborations are big getting started. I've seen that over and over again. Yep. You will get the support from other small businesses if you just ask the question and have the conversation. Typically, most people, especially if they're in that small business world, want to support other people.
Yeah, so it's like looking for those networking opportunities. For example, like tomorrow night, it'll be past the, at the time of this recording tomorrow night. So the Wiregrass Wedding Collective, we're putting together a vendor mixer night. So it's just time to get together. It's not like much of an agenda. It's like we'll have a few different things going on, but like when do wedding vendors get together outside of a wedding? And so going back to the collaborations, referrals, and all that kind of stuff, like vendors, like we all talk, and it's like if you're a pain in the butt to work with, like we're not going to recommend you. But if you're good to work with and you're easy to get along with, and you do good work and stuff, like that's easy recommendations and whatever. So it's like we have Tara's Temptations right on the other corner of the building. She's actively tagging other vendors and recommending other vendors and stuff like that too. And like we do photo and video, but it's like if we're just doing video and like there's this photographer that's really good to work with, like it's nice to show up to a wedding and like, oh, that's who I'm working with. Or like even DJs and stuff is like when we show up to a wedding, the Premier Entertainment Group is there. We're like, oh, good. Like we're taken care of. So it's like, it's nice to do that. But the networking side of it too, like I haven't really seen it outside of like bridal shows. Like there's not much else going on out there. So it's like, hey, let's put this together. Let it just be a night out kind of thing. And like, that's going to be an opportunity. One, like there might be someone that we don't know.
That's right.
And also like there's, hey, you're a friendly face and it's nice to see you outside of the hustle day, like a wedding days kind of stuff. But even on outside of the wedding networking stuff, there's, the Chamber of Commerce that you can join up with. And there's always stuff going on. There's like weekly luncheons that happen. There's workshops that happen. Like you can treat all that kind of stuff as networking events too.
Yes, definitely.
It's good to get yourself out there.
Yeah. So, and then just kind of getting your systems and processes up and running. When it's just you're wearing all the hats, so you're doing everything. But I would say Bridge to Business is an opportunity that I've tried to make available to small business owners, that you don't have to do all that research by yourself. You don't have to do it by yourself. There's a community, there's resources, there's people that I can refer you to kind of thing, that if that's their expertise, of what they do, then I'm going to refer them. And just like you're saying about tomorrow night, if you've got a good brand going and you've got a good experience, then we're going to refer you.
Yeah. And that's really cool. So in just a short plug, give us like what Bridge to Business is, what you do, and how they can contact you.
Okay. So Bridge to Business is literally bridging the gap from the back end of the business to success. So all the back end of your bookkeeping, financials, HR, marketing, all that stuff. And then offering consulting services customized on what you need. So that can be, if it's in one area, let's talk about it. If it's your whole business, you want it kind of audited, sit down, let's talk about, your business is overwhelming your life and you need some more structure for organization, then we can talk about that. If your bookkeeping is out of hand, you don't even know how to do it, let's talk through that. And business setup, I can help you kind of with that as well. So, and then networking, we're going to start networking events too.
Nice.
And some small workshops but one-on-one consulting and all that stuff.
So you got a website?
It's in progress. Honestly, I need a referral for somebody to help me with that.
It's all good. But you're on social media, so that's a good way to reach out.
Yes. So on Instagram, it's Bridge to Business, local to the Wiregrass here. So.
Okay. Awesome. And we'll leave links in the show notes and stuff to where people can contact you. So yeah, we appreciate you being on, and
thank y'all
wish
so much
you
for having
the
me.
best. And I think it's a great idea, and in this area definitely needs it, like Miss Hannah has said.
Yeah. So,
Miss Hannah. All right. And yeah, we're done. All right, so that's going to wrap it up for this episode. We appreciate you watching or listening. If you find value from this podcast, please leave a review. It helps rank us up into the podcast algorithms. Also, if you would like to be a guest on the show and share some of your project experiences, let us know, reach out, and we'll be happy to have you on the show and get you scheduled on. If you're a client and want to work on a project with us, there's contact information down below in the video description. We're looking forward to hearing from you and see what your ideas are and see how we can potentially be a fit to make your project happen. Until then, we'll catch you next episode.